Hello and welcome to the episode of Motoring Middle East. Today I'm checking out the world's favorite car. It's the best-selling car in history. It's the Toyota Corolla, and it's actually the first time I ever reviewed one on camera. I've only written about them in print, I've spoken about it in the radio, but I've never actually talked to you, dear viewers, about it on camera. And I'm quite excited. I've owned Corollas. I'm pretty sure most of you have owned Corollas at some point. They're great cars. And this latest version comes in 3 different flavors. There's a 1.6, there's a 2-litre, both 4 cylinders with CVT gearboxes. But then on top of them, there's this, the hybrid, which is the first time it's available in this market. In fact, first time a lot of the world is getting the hybrid, which was available in Japan only for many years. Naughty Japan. So what are the prices for this one? It starts off at about 86,000 dirhams for a slightly slimmer spec with steel wheels. That's the economy model. This is the 95,000 dirham version, about 95,900. And actually, it's a bit of a steal because it has the exact complete drivetrain from the Toyota Prius. So it's a Prius in a Corolla body. And I think it's a smart looking car, as you're about to find out. So CVT gearboxes, 120 horsepower. It's no street rocket, but what it is a fuel sipper. And let's see how it does. So what do I think of the Corolla? Well, I think it's quite a smart looking car actually. You can clearly see the influence from the Toyota Mirai, which is a fuel cell vehicle that you can actually sort of see running around Dubai on early test. It's not for sale, but it is more of a future test concept. This is again has the same sort of deep inverted C strakes on the lower bumper. And you got lots of little hybrid details here, like this blue tinge around the badge. And also the strakes, which are exposed only on the hybrid cars. The Camry hybrid as well has them as well. It's quite a smart looking car, isn't it? The proportions are really nice. I love the detailing on these headlamps. Can you see them? Really quite clever. Yeah, pretty nice. You got 70-inch wheels. The base car comes with 50-inch steelies. That's probably the best on fuel economy actually. And you've also got this famously Toyota oddball touch. These little strakes here. And they're actually even on here. If you look, you can see it on the inside of the wing mirror. What are they for? Well, they're supposed to increase fuel economy. Don't ask me how, but apparently they do. But a good looking car. I like the proportions. It doesn't have a giant butt. It just sits really nicely. I mean, look at that. It's a Corolla. It's a 3-box car, but it's nice. Nicely done. And it's got even a little spoiler. It's a Corolla, it's a sporty Corolla. It's not really a sporty Corolla, but the spoiler is nicely integrated. And again, I love these taillights. Very, very cool. Same inverted C's down here. Well, it's more of a C there. But yeah, you got a reversing camera and you've got a parking sensor setup. So let's see what it's like. Can I find the thing? Found the spot. Yeah, you've got a massive bonnet here. I mean, a boot. Massive boot. You can take a good amount of luggage in there. And do we have a giant full-size spare wheel actually, and all the nubbins and bits that you want. This car is in great shape. It's got 12,000 hard journalist kilometers on it, but it feels as tight as a drum, not a rattle, not a squeak. And I've been driving around everywhere as you would with the Corolla, and yeah, just feels like it lasts forever really. These are the kinds of cars that Toyota expect will last at least 500 million kilometers, and their duty cycle is insane, because once you're finished buying with it in Dubai, it'll probably get shipped off to Africa, or it might end up in Pakistan. So these kinds of cars need to be really, really long-lived. Luckily for Toyota, they are. I'm very happy with this car from an exterior standpoint. Of all the compacts, it probably looks the best. Right, let's see what it's like on the inside. So what's the back seat of a Corolla like? Isn't a penalty box something uncomfortable that you put people into a half dozen at a time hoping they won't complain? Actually, I'm quite comfortable. This is quite a good Corolla seat. I've got just about enough headroom. 6-footers will not be happy, but I'm okay. The seat backrest angle is excellent. This is the best Corolla I've ever been in. I'm seated behind my seating position. As you can see, I've still got room in front of my knees. I've got good thigh support. I've got a little pocket here to keep iPads. It's quite deep actually. The seat fabric is scratchy but comfortable. Does that make sense? It's not plush and premium, but it's nice. Good armrest, great visibility. The greenhouse is really good actually. I'm quite surprised, because all the older versions were always a little bit smaller on the glass, but now I feel quite comfy. Toys, there isn't any. There's no toys at all. There is 2 AC vents here so we don't die, and that's really about it. There's not even a USB port to charge back here, so it would be nice to have USB ports in our, and this is a range-topping hybrid version. So my only request would be, I don't need DVD players or any of that nonsense. I just want USBs. And it's not in this one either. But this is quite a good armrest. I mean, 2 people will be quite happy. 3 people may not be less so happy. So what's the Corolla like on the inside? Oh, you got keyless entry, by the way. Nice little touch there. Seats. These are actually really comfortable seats. Quite happy with the way they look and feel. They got shades of the Toyota 86 in there with that aggressive front headrest and pretty substantial bolstering even in the lower half. You've got also diamond quilt effect stitching here. It's not leather. It's sort of a roughish canvas type cloth, but it's comfortable. No issues at all. What a great looking dashboard actually. I feel like a Corolla booster I've not been paid for. I just like the way this car looks. Look at that. Quite nice and handsome. Obviously lots of hard plastics. Well, this is soft. As soon as I say that, of course, this is immediately for only soft plastic here, but this is hard. No, it's not. I'm a liar. This is actually slightly soft too, and you've got stitching here. Okay, this is even better than I thought. You've got HVAC controls down here and your main infotainment. What have you got? You've got a Qi charging point down there, which actually does work. Two proper holders for stuff, USBs, and a 12-volt socket. Yeah, a little place to keep your wallet and things. And a proper handbrake, none of this electric nonsense. Sorry for the quick cut, had to just reposition the car. This steering wheel is obviously very familiar. It's the one from the RAV4, so it's got the same sort of fussy arrangement. You've got volume here, and you've got the skip controls here. I don't like that. I actually prefer to have everything on one side. This is a little confusing. And this four-way jog here, and this is your cruise control setup here. No radar cruise. The four-way is nice. It controls this fairly oddball screen here. So you've got your basically what would be a TAC in any other car, but in this car is charge, eco, and power. And it's like a TAC basically. A charge is not using any power at all. Eco is where you should be, and power is like roar. But it's 120 horsepower, so it's not that much roar. Here you've got your infotainment screens. That's your main screen showing your average liters per 100. Obviously 4.4. I'm brilliant. I'm a genius. You've got outside temp and so on, and range to go. If I go scroll through them, that's cruise control, that's music, that is what's happening now. It's running purely off the battery. Settings and that. As with the RAV4, I think my main criticism is for these new screens is that Toyota puts a big screen in there and then doesn't fill it with anything. It's just a big empty space. Like, why aren't they using that? Why aren't they using that? Like, come on guys, there's tons of real estate here. Put some graphics in here. Over here you've got fuel and water temp, which of course never gets that hot. Now, there is no sign of the famous Toyota clock, so I'm quite disappointed. But you do have automatic climate control, which is pretty darn good. This is a freezing car. So on the main screen, what have we got? Well, we've got a flow chart showing where your battery and power. Right now it's running purely off battery, which is great. I've been stuck here for an hour filming, but it doesn't care. You've got music. By the way, this system is really good. I'm doing a thumbs up because actually I'm surprised with the clarity and quality. Dare I say it, it's better than the one we got in the Supra. Menu system, it's all pretty much standard Lexus stuff. Isn't that funny? This used to be the kind of thing you'd get in a Lexus, and now you get in a Corolla 10 years later. Audio, etc. Apps. Oh, I must do the same thing. You must connect to T-Connect, Toyota's in-house navigation system. It doesn't come with navigation, which is a bit of a surprise, again, for a 95,000 dirham car. Other than that, you've got hazards, again, HVAC, very, very strong. Yeah, that's about it. There's a little few places to keep your bottles and stuff like that, but isn't a huge amount of things to look at, because it's a Corolla. Let's get on the road. You know what I'm grateful for? I'm grateful for a car with large windows. You know why these large windows are cool? Because for the last 2 weeks I've been testing sports cars and the windows are really tiny. So when you put a camera, it's really small and everything is very dark. And it looks great for the driver, but not so good for the people who have to watch it. Corolla. Let's see what it is. Electric power. Not that much of it, 120 horsepower. So that was about 60 kilometers per hour. But it's not really a rocket, as you can imagine. But what is it good at? It's good at being a cheaper Prius. This is such a clever car. There's so much happening. If you look at the screens, you can see right now it's running purely on electric power. And this car is very aggressive actually with the electric power. It tries to use it as much as possible. The battery is quite small. I don't know what the range is, like a couple of miles, but it uses it constantly. Going off-road. This is going to be bumpy. If it's really bumpy, I'll magically appear on the other side. On the really bumpiest section yet, the ride is really good. By the way, the Corolla has a surprisingly good ride. I'm actually really impressed with the Corolla's ride. I don't know if it's the hybrid gubbins or the heavy battery, but this ride's great. I went to Abu Dhabi and back, didn't feel a thing. No bumps at all. Really good. CVT gearbox, It's not great, but as I'm given to understand, Corollas haven't had automatics in a long time. The last Corolla automatic was a 4-speed. I mean, they just went straight to CVT. And with small cars, you can kind of see CVT makes sense because, okay, little technical stuff here. If you want a big gearbox with lots of gears, you need lots of space. Corolla, as you can see, not so much space. So you have a little space. You put a CVT. That's also, by the way, why Ford, for example, went with dual clutch for their small Fiesta. By the way, the dual clutch was a horrendous, horrible mistake. They've had lots and lots of problems, and all of them broke. Please don't sue me, Ford. Not all of them broke, but they had issues. So it's a lot of stuff to package in a small space. Whereas CVTs work. The upside of CVTs: great fuel economy, in theory, perfect throttle response. The downside: it doesn't drive like a normal car. It feels kind of weirdly divorced from the drivetrain. However, what they've done here is they've taken away the tachometer, so you don't actually know how much revs the car is doing, and it kind of takes a lot of the CVT nonsense away. So I'm quite happy with it. This has been a good CVT. Like Honda also has a great CVT. Full power, foot to the floor. 70, 74, 78, 86, 89, 100. Cruise. I hit cruise, he said. No, put it in B. There's actually a battery regen mode, which I don't use that much. Yeah, it's not a fast car. I mean, the regular Corolla has 170 horsepower, and it will be an absolute rocket compared to this. But that's not what this car is about. This car is about good fuel economy. And I'm seeing about 5.2 liters per 100. That's pretty darn good. I mean, that's like Yaris level fuel economy in a much bigger Corolla. So on that front, it does what its job is. Its job is fuel economy, saving gas. That's why it's here. But there's more. It actually handles quite nicely. The steering response is excellent. It handles very nice in the corners. Brakes are good. The car feels like one cohesive piece. I hate cars that have too much of something. Too much engine, too much brake, too much aero. So for example, some of these cars, like some of the more fancy European stuff, when they have lots of aero, they only start to get good above 200. But this car is plenty fun. I mean, I've been chucking it around. I've been a good time. So is it a rival to the regular Corolla? No, because the Corolla is can be up to almost 20,000 dirhams cheaper. So those Corollas, if you want maximum maximum value for money, yeah, buy the 1.6 or 2 liter Corollas. But if you are looking for an alternative to the Prius, I think this could be your car. I think this car could replace the Prius in the UAE, because let's be honest, the Prius isn't the best looking car in the world. It's effective because of all the aero and all. It looks that way for a reason. But the Corolla, I think, is just a much more palatable package, and I like the way everything about it. It's just a Prius, but more practical and nicer to live with. One problem, can you hear it? I don't know if you can hear it. Quite a lot of wind noise. It's not tire noise, I think it's wind noise. So it's not quite as cheaty a shape as I hoped it would be. Other problems, the fuel economy, I've been ragging it, so it's not, the tank seems a little on the small side. Other problems, there's no CarPlay, there's no Android Auto, and I think those are must-haves in this current market. We need to have CarPlay and Android Auto. So I would expect to have these things. Just have to have it. But the sound system is good, it seems to hook up fine and cleanly. You've got charging point, one USB and the Qi charger, that's it. You don't have auto dimming. Come on, Toyota. Get an auto dimming mirror. It's 95,000 dirhams. So it's expensive, but the spec isn't quite perfect. Do you have a sunroof? I'm doing 80 through here and I'm holding it on one hand, and I'm pointing at the sunroof. You know why I can do that? Because this car handles freaking great. So it doesn't have much power, but what power it does have, it uses really well. Yeah, it's a good Corolla. I think it's probably the best Corolla I've ever driven. The last one was really good. And these cars, by the way, in case you're curious, are now made in Taiwan. They haven't been made in Japan in a long time. Long time. They were made in South Africa, Japan, America, but we're getting Taiwanese cars. And the fit and finish, perfect. It's good. That's all you need to know. It's a Corolla and it's good. It's a hybrid, so it's the best. It's a little pricey, but you're getting some serious engineering for the money. And on that happy note, I shall leave you. Do you want to see more hybrids? Let me know. Do you want to see more cars? What do you want to know about? Like, comment, share, subscribe, and send me a DM. You can also follow us on Facebook, Instagram, etc. You know where to find us. See you soon.